Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. I think I have found the reason why President Biden is steadfastly providing a blank check to Israel to slaughter, at this point, nearly 30,000 innocent Palestinians, 19,000 of which are women and children. And it has to do with who's funding him. And as a Jew, I feel comfortable saying the very wealthy plutocrats funding and helping Biden raise millions of dollars happen to be very pro-Israel and Jewish. Can't escape the fact. Let's first show you the article showing Biden fundraising, quote, dream team creates 140 million war chest to take on Donald Trump. President Biden's fundraising operation is helmed by a, quote, dream team that is helping to build a war chest to take on former President Trump. Movie mogul Jeffrey Katzenberg, who happened to give the Young Turks $20 million. That's on the historical record there. And longtime Democratic fundraiser Rufus Gifford are among the Biden advisors being given credit for the operation's success. Katzenberg has been speaking with donors to Republican Nikki Haley. And trying to recruit them to support Biden. Talk about bipartisanship. Let's get Nikki Haley and her Republican plutocrats funding her to give to Biden. Remember when the New York Times was calling Biden the next FDR? President Biden's $140 million campaign war chest has been bolstered by a group of loyal advisors and fundraisers that some party strategists call a dream team. The recent boom in fundraising can be traced primarily to 5 people: media executive and Biden campaign co-chair Jeffrey Katzenberg, former State Department official Rufus Gifford, campaign finance director Michael Pratt, longtime Biden advisor Jen O'Malley Dillon, and Julie Chavez Rodriguez, president's 2024 campaign manager. They have kind of put together a dream team in fundraising, said Jim Messina, who served as President Obama's campaign manager. If you go down here, but Katzenberg pointed to Haley's support in places like New Hampshire, where she won 43% of the Republican primary vote, saying that suggested there's a slice of the Republican Party ready to move on from Trump. Let's pay no attention at all that if you start getting millions and millions of dollars from plutocrat Republican donors, I think they're going to want something in return from a reelected President Biden. I don't know, tax breaks, deregulation, corporate welfare, all the usual goodies that, frankly, Republicans and Democrats give the swine and corporate ghouls that run our country, the United Corporations of America. Let's continue, though, because I think there's very relevant information here as to why Biden might not be giving or pushing for a ceasefire or telling Israel, we're done funding this. Like, I hate to credit him, Ronald Reagan did in the early 1980s. He called Israel, he called Prime Minister Menachem Begin and said, this has to stop Israel's relentless bombing of Beirut. And it did stop. Israel stopped the bombing after Reagan said this is like a Holocaust. Splashy parties. The success of Biden's team in building up his fundraising operation has grown more evident over the past year as a series of one-time private events raised millions of dollars each. Already this week, Biden's West Coast fundraising swing has raised up to $10 million between 4 different events for the Biden Victory Fund, according to a person with direct knowledge of the totals. The Biden Victory Fund raises money for the Biden campaign, the Democratic National Committee, and a variety of state parties. 3 of these events so far have been hosted by entertainment executive Chaim Sabin, venture capitalist John Doerr, and businessman Gordon Getty. Chaim Sabin held 3 of the events. Who is Chaim Sabin? Pro-Israel mega donor Chaim Sabin hosts fundraiser for Biden, doesn't attend after testing positive for COVID. So a billionaire who didn't attend but hosted the events for you, which is raising $10 million, happens to be super duper pro-Israel, super duper Zionist, one of the biggest donors to Hillary Clinton in her career, Bill Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid back in the day. Pretty much name your corporate Democrat one of the biggest donors, is a pro-Israel Zionist, I wonder why Biden is sitting there like a empty vessel, allowing Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel to commit genocide and ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. It's about the money, Lebowski. And no, I am not being anti-Semitic. I am following the money. I am not against wealthy Jewish people donating to, frankly, I'm against all of these people, Jewish, non-Jews, all of these wealthy plutocrats buying our political system. But it's just the facts. And I've said it for weeks. I've said it for months. It just so happens that some of the wealthiest donors in America are pro-Israel and Jewish. This is a fact. Avoiding it would be lying to the audience. Remember, Donald Trump moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem because Sheldon Adelson, when he was alive, gave Donald Trump $30 million for his campaign. It wasn't because Donald Trump is some Zionist who very strongly felt we need to move the embassy, the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. It was because Adelson gave him $30 million. It's not complicated, folks. If you want to know a little bit more about Chaim Sabin, it's from The Intercept a couple years ago. Democratic mega donor Chaim Sabin attacked senators for urging humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. The hardline pro-Israel billionaire accused a group of 13 senators led by Bernie Sanders of getting their facts wrong. Oh, I see. This is the guy hosting 3 mega fundraisers for Biden this week, I believe in LA or wherever in California. So I wonder what he thinks about what Israel's doing now. Television mogul and Democratic Party megadonor Chaim Sabin is privately reprimanding lawmakers who spoke out about the humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip. This is not the current crisis. This is 2018. Sabin emailed the senators, some at their personal addresses, to directly express his displeasure with a letter organized last month by Bernie Sanders. 12 Democrats and Sanders signed the May 11, 2018 letter calling for Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to, quote, act urgently in order to help relieve the humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip. The letter, which came amid a deadly Israeli response to a protest movement in the Gaza Strip, said that the Trump administration should restore funding to a United Nations humanitarian effort and encourage Israel to ease restrictions on Palestinians living in Gaza. 3 days after the senators sent the letter, Israel fired on another round of protests, leaving dozens dead and hundreds more wounded. On Tuesday, The Intercept obtained a copy of an email Sabin sent to 6 of the senators, along with a handful of staffers for the others, expressing his, quote, dismay that they signed. Quote, senators, for you to listen to Senator Sanders and accuse Israel of being the main culprit is outrageous, misinformed, offensive, and shows a lack of understanding of the region's basic fundamentals, he wrote. Do your homework unless you have chosen to blindly follow Senator Sanders' ill-advised, misinformed, simplistic, and ignorant lead. Let me translate that for you, and I'll take off my glasses here. Shut the fuck up, or the checks will stop. Thank you. So this is who Biden is depending on to bring him to the finish line and out fundraise Donald Trump. Kind of strikes me very similar to Hillary Clinton back in 2016. Remember, Joe Biden and Jeffrey Katzenberg and his dream team of fundraisers are now courting Republican donors from Nikki Haley. Who did Hillary Clinton try to get donations from in 2016? Jeb Bush. Yeah, that worked out. Worked out pretty well for Hillary Clinton when her campaign was spending most of the month of August fundraising in the Hamptons, Silicon Valley, Napa Valley, California, instead of actually out there campaigning, even though she had no coherent message. Kind of seems like deja vu that the Biden administration, that the Biden campaign is now courting Nikki Haley and Republican donors. But it's not just Chaim Sabin. Jeffrey Katzenberg, who, let me remind you one more time, gave the Young Turks $20 million a couple of years ago. Jeffrey Katzenberg is a senior advisor or campaign co-chair for the Biden campaign. He is instrumental in fundraising and a direct donor to the Biden campaigns. Well, he himself is a pretty significant pro-Israel guy. UC faculty group stood with the Palestinians. That legitimized Hamas terrorism, regions say. Remember, this was right soon after October 7th, the Hamas attack on Israel. A letter from a University of California faculty group condemning UC's use of the word terrorism to describe this month's Hamas attack on Israel and urging the administration to uplift the Palestinian freedom struggle has drawn a furious counter from one university regent who responded with a letter of his own Tuesday. Jay Suris, vice chairman at United Talent Agency and a member of the UC Board of Regents, wrote that the letter sent October 16th by the UC Ethnic Studies Faculty Council to the board, UC president and campus chancellors, was full of falsehoods, inaccuracies, and anti-Semitic innuendos, and seeks to legitimize and defend the horrific savagery of the Hamas massacre of October 7th. So basically, some faculty members at UC in California basically spoke out in support of Palestinians. I don't particularly agree with what they were saying about Hamas and avoiding to use the word terrorism. You might not agree. I do believe what Hamas did on October 7th is terrorism. I do not support kidnapping, killing innocent Israelis, just like I do not support the occupation and the barbarism and terrorism and genocide against Palestinians. I do not believe the killing of one set of innocents should be met with the killing of another set of innocents. So I am against what Hamas did. You could say you understand the hatred. You could say you understand that they have tried, Palestinians have tried peaceful resistance for decades and decades, and Israel has left them with no choice. All of that is understandable, but I personally, not just about this issue, any issue, do not believe terrorism or violence or killing innocent people is the answer. However, Jeffrey Katzenberg, part of the Biden fundraising super team, as they call it, apparently he agreed with, slapping the UC members on the wrist for speaking out in support of the Palestinians. Let me read you this part here. Former Walt Disney chairman and DreamWorks CEO, co-founder Jeffrey Katzenberg, who has known Suarez, a Hollywood talent executive, for decades, said he admires Suarez's quick and unequivocal response back to them. This is Jay speaking truth to power, Katzenberg said. It's a moment in time when people seem to be going into their respective silos and allowing misrepresentation and falsehoods to get traction out there in the world. So Jeffrey Katzenberg, who's raising millions and millions and millions of dollars for Biden, Jeffrey Katzenberg was part of that group brandishing and reprimanding the UC faculty for speaking out in support of Palestinians. Wonder why Joe Biden doesn't want to call for a ceasefire or pull funding from Israel's ongoing slaughter of the Palestinians, ongoing genocide of the Palestinians. Hate to say it, but as I always tell you, follow the money. Joe Biden and the Democratic Party are still stuck in the corrupt corporate mentality of we got to fundraise, we got to out fundraise the Republicans. Money, money, money. That's the only way you could win. Bernie Sanders proved you can compete with a message, a righteous message. You might not be happy with Bernie right now. I'm not completely happy with Bernie right now, but he has proved, and he created the blueprint for fighting big money with more people power. The Democrats have missed that memo. And I don't really think they want to read the memo because they like their money and they like their consultant class and they like having to run based on money rather than ideas. And they like the corrupt country that they have helped create, and they like being purchased and bought off by Jeffrey Katzenberg and Chaim Sabin and the rest of them. It is vile that a president of the United States would literally fund an ongoing genocide of innocent people in order to avoid or in order to keep the money flowing from his big daddy donors. That is disgusting. And Biden will have to go to his grave knowing he did that. Unfortunately, I think he's fine with it.